Alright, so we're jumping right into it here. What I'm using here is Yama Lube, tire mount lube, and I tell you this stuff is a game changer. It'll take your anger level from 10 down to 4 real fast. So let's lather up the bead. The front tire, these are TUSK DSport Adventures, which are known for being a pretty stiff tire. But they do have a rotation, so make sure you check that. And the front tire also has a balancing dot on it that lines up with your valve stem, which a valve stem tool like this would make your life a little bit easier, but I like making myself miserable, so I just use a little block of wood and shove my hand down in there. Front tire wasn't bad, but I always start the nut on there, get your tube tucked in, make sure you don't have any twists in it. Make sure it's all the way down in the rim, that way lessens your chance of pinching when you start putting the tire on all the way. Very self-explanatory. I always like to put some air in the tube real fast, just to make sure there's no twists, and I tighten that nut up on the valve stem when there's air in it. Also make sure that dot's aligned with your valve stem. This is the little tool I use to remove the inner valve stem. It makes it easier because there won't be any air able to stay in the inner tube at that point. Links for all these tools that I'm using are going to be in the description. It's definitely tools that make your life a little less miserable when changing tires by hand. This video is sped up 2 times, so I think I changed both these tires in roughly a half hour. Probably could have got faster if I'd actually just stayed committed to it. But good tire spoons, I just use Amazon ones, cheap. Make sure when you get them, you make sure there's no sharp edges on them. Hit them with some sandpaper. As you go around, you really just want to grab as little bit of the inside of the rim as you can. Make sure you're staying away from the inner tube, because the last thing you want to do is go through all this, go to put air in it, and all you hear is tss. So I'm going to take a big bite here, and that's just to try and pull the tire. Sometimes I'll hit it with a dead blow on the other end. Really just try and stretch that tire over that way as much as possible when you get to the very end and you guys start taking smaller bites at it. That's all I'm doing right here. I'm not trying to get the whole thing on, just trying to pull the whole tire over. Like I said, smaller bites at the end, and with that Yama lube on there, thing's gonna slide right on. There's the front tire. Just bounce it around a couple times, make sure it kind of trues up on the rim. Alright, this one, back tires. They gave me some stress, but these are some very stiff, thick tires. I've got about 10 miles on them now as of the making of this video. And all road riding, I have not done any off-road yet, so definitely have to do a review after I get a couple 100 miles on them. Same steps with the back tire. Get her nice and lubed up with that Yama lube. There is no rotation, direction, or balance on the back tire. They are cheaper tires. At the time of the making, $124.99, and I will leave a link for those. Like I said, this back tire is much stiffer and thicker than the front tire. And there's the first side on. Thing I didn't show in this video, I did clean the rims up real good. Doing back tires, I mean, it's pretty common sense, but make sure you always have the sprocket side down. It's not a very fun thing to slip into. Get her nice and lubed up. This is the part that I struggled the most with, and I have since ordered one of those valve stem puller tools. Like I said earlier, I don't have them because I hate my fingers. This thing would have took about 5 minutes out of the job because I started getting frustrated with it. But I got it. But definitely want one of those for these DOT tires. These DOT tires are just a much harder tire to change by hand than the strictly dirt tires. So as you watch me struggle bus here, I cut some of it out. But I finally got it on there. If anybody has any tips and tricks to this without that tool, put them in the comments, help somebody out. Once you get stuck on one little thing like this, you just want to give up. I was ready to give up, take it to a tire shop. I don't know what went flying there, but and there, I finally got it. I hope my pain and suffering will incline you to buy that tool. I know it did me. It's the same exact as the front. Shove her down in there. Make sure you don't have any twists in the tube. Wow, these tires are some meaty tires. In the description of them, read the lug size or depth, and I pulled my veneers up and looked at what 13 millimeters look like. I'm like, that's decent. And they came in the mail. I'm like, wow, these are some lugs here. Hopefully they do good off-road. Most of the reviews say they do pretty good. It's a short period of time that I've rode on them on the road. And they seem nice and smooth. They're not too noisy. I do mostly ride road back and forth to work, but I'd rather have a tire that's capable off-road. That way when I do want to do that, it's not super sketchy off-road. I kind of go through the same processes. I'll put some air in the tire, make sure everything's square, take it back out, and then put the tire on. So this back tire is a tougher tire, but that Yama lube, whew. If you change tires a couple times a year, you definitely want it. You see on this back tire, kind of wants to start pulling off of the other side as you go around. biggest thing is making sure you don't pinch that tube. This is a tough tire. Let's just kind of smack it over a little bit, try and get the tire pushed that way on the rim as much as possible. And just little bites at the end. Don't want to try and shove the whole thing in there, grab a little bit of that tube, and then you gotta start all over again. And that's that. Boom. So don't get discouraged. They suck, but it is doable with a couple tools on Amazon. That tire changing holder is from Harbor Freight. I'll leave a link for that below. But I hope this video was helpful. Like, subscribe if it helped you out. If you got any tire changing tips, let me know. Always open. Onto the bike they go. Thanks for watching.